Alright, so March of the Machine is out. We are now into Mom Standard. And like every other new standard we get, every set release we have, I'm going to try to make Mono Green a thing. There are some new tools in green in March of the Machine that I think have a lot of potential. So we are going to jump in here and we're going to test them out. At the one drop spot, Seed of Hope. It's a one drop, which this deck didn't have a lot to do with before. There were plenty of one drop creatures, just to get a body on the field. But as far as value goes, I think this is the most value you can get out of a single forest. Mill two cards. One of them's a permanent. You put it in your hand. Regardless, you gain 2 life. Not bad for a single forest, especially since this deck really only runs one card that isn't a permanent, and that's safekeeping. The only reason safekeeping is in this deck is just because Standard is rampant with removal. Every color has removal now. Green has fight spells. White is exiling stuff. Red's burning stuff. Black's just murdering stuff. I like to keep cards in play, and if you're running a stompy deck, you kind of have to. So the other one drop is Tameo Safekeeping. It is probably going to be a little bit of trouble later on when I'm trying to, Seed of Hope to get a creature, and I just hit 2 safekeepings instead, and I have to stick them in the graveyard. But we'll see how it goes. A lot of the new stuff I'll probably be altering as we go, because if you see, my 3 kind of mana dorks here: Armored Scrapgorger, Gallagreators, Loam Speaker, just all good 2 drops that are mana support for later in the game. 2 copies of Gwenna, just for the extra mana support. Because it's a legendary, try to keep the cost a little low. Augur of Autumn, just so that once you have some creatures in play, you can just start playing stuff off the top of the deck. Whether it's a forest, whether it's a creature. When you have a lot of mana on the board, this thing can be a game-ending game piece. Because you just play a bunch of low-cost creatures off the top of your deck. You're playing Stompers, Polukranos, and your opponent can't keep up when you're just playing creatures straight off the top of your deck. Most of the time, if you get to that point in the game, they scoop. Polukranos is another card I've been really excited to try out just because it's a 4/5 for 3 with reach. Not even going to touch the transform stuff, because most of the time, by the time you have a Polukranos in play, the game is already going in your favor, unless it just, gets hit with an Infernal Grasp or a Go for the Throat. Another support card I'm excited about is Tribute to the World Tree. If you're able to get one of these down on turn 3, it's going to be pumping all of your small guys that you're throwing out there, and suddenly your Llanowar Loam Speakers, your Armored Scrapgorgers, they're worth more than 2 at that point because they're coming in pumped up. And if you're playing some bigger creatures, if you're going for your Polukranos or your Defiler, you're going to get to draw a card off of it. And draw is something that green has been severely lacking in Standard and really needs more of. That's another reason I have Seed of Hope in here. It's basically just draw a card, gain 2 life on your first turn. Helps you get that set up a lot easier where green has struggled before. The other card I've been excited to play with, and I may end up pumping up these numbers just because it isn't a legendary, so you can just drop a bunch of them. It has Convoke, and for each creature you use to convoke it, you get a +1/+1 counter. So, potentially, for a green deck, if you're able to keep a lot of these creatures in play, which is the real struggle, you're able to drop this thing for a relatively cheap price for a relatively large creature. Potentially, you're tapping 5 creatures, you're putting this into play as an 11/11 with Trample and Ward 2. We'll see how it goes. Again, we're just kind of testing this deck out for the moment to see what's working for green, what's not, what adjustments can be made. So we'll go ahead and jump into a standard match and see what happens with it. As I take a nice little swig of decaf here out of my boba mug. Oh, that's the good stuff there. It is decaf because it's the middle of the day for me at this point. Okay, so we are going up against Hot Lunchbox. Immediately, we're going to be able to use Seed of Hope. And then, yeah, we got 3 Mana Boys in here. That'll be able to set us up for, hopefully, some late game shenanigans. Can pull an Augur of Autumn out of there. That's not bad. And then Seed of Hope is, yeah, it's something we're not going to be using a ton past now, so I don't mind seeing it over in the graveyard. Let's go ahead and get a Scrap Gorger in here. We've got an island across the table, so that's a little bit concerning, but they're all tapped out for now. So I'm going to go ahead and get this Augur into play, because it's more important at this point than, you know, any of this stuff going on in my hand. We'll say go and see what they do on their turn. I was not expecting an artifact. We may be looking at mono blue artifacts here. It certainly seems like it. Okay, so we got 2 containment constructs. I could have technically put a counter on Scrap Gorger there, but I don't see much of a point to it. Instead, I'm going to get Defiler of Vigor into play. And the opponent scoops. Okay, so we didn't get to do a ton there. It looked like we were ramping way faster than they were going to be able to keep up with. We got to play 1 March of the Machine card. So, on to the next one. We'll see if we can cook a little more on the next one. If our opponent will allow us to cook. I'm guessing that this deck actually has a pretty favorable matchup with mono blue. Because when I'm thinking about that tempo deck that's so popular, like, yeah, they can counter a bunch of your early stuff because they want to get those instants and sorceries into their graveyards so that when Haughty Djinn comes into play, it's all pumped up. So they're really just going to be removing all of your early game creatures, when what this deck's looking for is just the opportunity to drop some big stuff for lower costs later on. So yeah, it slows the deck down to counter everything or return it to your hand, but it's not going to, you know, completely shut down green. We'll go ahead and take this hand because I do want to get that Polukranos drop on turn 3. That's very enticing to me right now. We'll see what they're playing, and that will decide where I go with my turn 3 drop, because we got some good options down here. They're going Selesnya. Looks like it's gonna be toxic. So we'll go ahead and get Scrap Gorger into play. If they don't remove it, it'll be able to block the Jawbone. They may be boosting that Jawbone, though. Or stealing my Scrap Gorger. But like I was saying about Mono Blue, I'd rather them take the Scrap Gorger than to take anything else I'm going to be playing from my hand. I'm going to go ahead and get the Polukranos into play. I want to see how they respond to that. They probably just have another Annex Sentry they can play down. I hope not. Let me use... Okay. Doesn't seem like they do. They were playing a lot of toxic creatures, though, so I'm going to have to really pull some stuff here to keep up. Let's get Tribute into play. Stay where we're at for now. I think that was technically the correct move, though it does make me a little nervous, because if they play another Annex Entry and still Polukranos, then I'm going to be wide open for a bunch of toxic damage. They're swinging in, so they know something. Or they've got something. I'm going to block... I want to know what they've got going on. Is it like a safekeeping that they're just going to play down so it's not destroyed? That wouldn't be a bad play. They're, whew. They're thinking. They're going to get roped here in a second if they don't go ahead. Okay, so yeah, I think they just miscalculated. Oh, double strike. Never mind. No, they didn't. They knew what they were doing. That was a pretty smart move. I had forgotten about Tyvar. The good news is, let's get Augur into play. See if I can play a forest off the top of the deck. No, I've got another one though. Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of defense about for whatever they're going to be swinging my way. They have out creatured me severely here. Okay. Might as well block one of those. So I'm still going to be taking 3 toxic. So, forest off the top. Do I just go for bodies? Or I think I have to. I think I just have to go for bodies here. Topiary Stomper is going to draw me a card off of Tribute, which gives me another body. That's nice. But, oh, that bloated Contaminator over there. They can pretty much overrun me here and still get in toxic damage. Yeah. Because Contaminator's got Toxic 1, but it also has Trample, so it... but it can Proliferate, which is basically Toxic 2. This has Hexproof from green. I'm going to send my... Oh, I can't even block it. Well... pretty much having to do this. I don't want it dealing damage to me. Let's see how this settles out. The double strike got me. Okay. That was a good game, though. I mean, I did absolutely nothing to them. They out-creatured me very quickly. I do wonder how that might have gone if I had gone first, but probably not too differently. Okay. Get my prizes there. Jump into another standard match. The feeling I'm getting is that green's still going to be way too slow to deal with most of the big decks in standard, because I think Mono Red's only going to get better with March of the Machine. I think Mono White only got better. And then who knows what other archetypes people are going to be able to pull out from the new cards available. Pass. Looking at Golgari colors over there. Let's get a Scrap Gorger into play. Because with Golgari, I'm pretty sure they're going to want some creatures, okay, in the graveyard. That's fine. I'll take that. Scrap Gorger would have been a way to remove them. But getting an Augur into play, Carefree, isn't bad either. I don't know. With that color combo over there, I don't know what their creature support's really going to look like. I'm glad to see that Infernal Grasp in there. That's a welcome sight for sure. Polukranos into play. If they try to do something, I do have the safekeeping to protect it. We'll swing for 2. And I'm kind of liking where we're at right now. Still not completely sure with what they're cooking up over there. Wrenn and Realmbreaker. Okay. I feel like this is a card I'm going to have to get used to dealing with. Oh, they have an Omnath over there that they put into their hand. So we're looking at a 5-color deck. I need to deal with Ren for sure. Let's see, 5. I'd rather get this into play and have the mana to protect Polukranos. I gotta play it safe here. So we'll swing this at Ren, this at the player, and see what happens. Okay, so their lands are back to being their regular old thing. They do have removal in the deck. Something that I don't have. So if that Omnath flies down, I don't have a lot I can do to deal with it other than just swinging at it with my Hydra. Because I think they were really banking on having those all mana lands kept up from Ren. They may just have another Ren in hand, though. It's possible. Come on now. I know. What are you thinking? What you got in your hand? You've got 6 other cards that you can play that you probably definitely have the mana for. Unless it's just out of color stuff. Like if they've got white and red cards in hand that they don't have support for anymore. And then they're just roping me to try to get me to scoop before they do. We'll wait it out. I can sit here and talk to nobody and sip some decaf. Honestly, like, what I have in hand isn't too threatening. Like, I would think whatever they have would have to be some kind of response. You don't have 7 cards in hand, one of them being an Omnath, and not have like a variety of things you can do. I don't get it. Yeah, they're AFK. They're gonna rope me. But the idea I'm going for here, go ahead and get the Defiler, and I'll probably tap Gwenna for the 2 mana to play Loam Speaker, and then just swing once everything gets the +1/+1 counter on it. That would be 5, 6, 7, 8 damage going to them. It's not a bad turn. Wouldn't mind seeing that Omnath see play though, because it's the fancy version too. Yep, let's go ahead and do this. I should have done it the opposite way. I should have tapped those 2 mana for Defiler, but that's alright. Give everything a counter. We're still pretty good. We got the safekeeping available just in case they do have removal. Put them at 6, and we'll see if they continue to rope. I expect that they will. This is kind of an idyllic board setup for this deck, though, especially knowing that next turn I'm going to have Tribute of the World Tree, which is like just draw support for all the creatures I'm going to be able to play off the top. If I can get creatures on the top of the deck for Augur to, kind of boost into play. So it's an honor to be able to sit here with you, dear viewer, and just have a little chat while the opponent does nothing to look at these wonderful green cards and determine, are they good? So far, Polukranos, I'm saying, yeah, it's good. Tribute, I'm loving, but I don't know that it's really fitting in mono green aggro. Come on, give me. Okay. So we'll take the win. Not the most fun way to pull one off, but we'll go ahead and jump into another standard match. I'll refill my decaf to get some hot beverage in my tummy, and we'll continue moving forward with this deck to see what happens. This isn't a bad looking hand. Haven't been able to use Imperiosaur yet, so it's kind of cool seeing it there. Seeing another forest across the way. Let's Seed of Hope. And, oh, let's get that Polukranos. That's looking good to me. And it tells my opponent that I have a big creature in hand. So let's see what they have to do in response over there. Growl colors. Looking like it may be werewolves. We'll get Gallagreeters into play. Not ruling out removal, since they could be running burn over there. Their creature strength's gonna be rivaling my own here. Not gonna block that. They do have a mana they could use. I'm gonna go ahead and get this big boy into play. Or big girl. I don't know what the Hydra is gendered as. Give myself a treasure token. Say go. See what type of werewolf shenanigans they have to pull off over there. Because, I mean, they can combo quite a bit between these werewolf cards, given the right setup. Oh, do I want to get the Imperiosaur into play now? I don't. I want to wait. But I will get Augur into play while I have the chance. Get the treasure token. I don't think they have the burn to get rid of the Polukranos, so I'm going to go ahead and get another creature into play. That's going to be more Convoke fuel. I've gained 2 life. It's not a safe environment to swing into just yet. They're not playing anything. They're letting it become nighttime. Wouldn't be surprised if they do swing at me with the 2/5/5s. They have Stormseeker too. They're going to be coming in pretty hard here. Maybe I should have saved the mana space for the safekeeping. Because they are about to do what my deck tries to do, but better. Yeah, that's a lot of damage coming this way. If they stick with it, they're tapped out, so they're not going to be... Well, when this thing taps, it's going to add some mana, so they could pull some extra stuff off. Probably not, though. So we're looking at 18. We're looking at 20 damage coming in. I'd rather go ahead and block this and just take that damage off the board. I'm at 4. They get to draw a whole lot. And I think I'm about to lose to a very rudimentary deck. They have something they can play. Okay, they have a Pack Song Pup. I need bodies. So we'll bring that in. Gain life. Bring in another auger. You could take a token. Gain a life off of this one. Get a forest down. I could still convoke, but I'd have to tap everything. I'm going to hold off. Hang on to the safekeeping, because it's going to be useful to give something indestructible here. And I'm going to have to give up a lot of convoke fuel. They're going to put a creature into their hand, so they're going to be even larger in their werewolf army over there at the end of their turn. Oh, jeez. Okay, so they're not getting the boost. Oh, they are getting the boost. I thought they had already entered combat. Okay. So that's got trample now. And it's a 7/5. That's all they're going to swing in with. So I'll block it this way. That was probably a misplay on their behalf. Oh, yeah. Forgot about trample. That was a misplay on my behalf. Jeez, can't believe I did that. Should have done it with Polukranos over here. But yeah, if they would have swung in with everything, there's not really anything I could do. At the very least, they would have wiped my board and set themselves up for an easier win next turn. I'm guessing they have like Moonrager Slash or something. Okay, it's back to daytime for them. I'm gonna go for the Stomper. Gain some more life. Get a land into play. Play a forest from the top. Get another Stomper into play. Treasure tokens. And then next turn, I may be able to just get 2 Imperiosaurs into play. So I've got the 2 green here. I can convoke. Four more. Let's go for it. And then I got to do 1 more. 2 more. Okay. So I have a 16/16 in play now. With Ward 2, so I'm going to be able to stop a good chunk of damage. Whew. Okay. And it has trample. So it's going to put them in a bit of a tough spot if they do swing with everything, which they could do. They could swing with everything and still potentially take me out depending on how they allocate these +1/+1 counters. They have a lot of mana over there, though. They could play so many extra cards and just like wipe me. But like there wasn't much of a point of like just keeping all of these untapped as blockers. Like, yeah, it might have bought me another turn, but then the Imperiosaur would have cost way too much. Cause yeah, there's a lot of damage going to be coming my way, and I can't do much against it. I don't have the safekeeping in hand anymore. Maybe just that one pack song pop is going to be enough. So I'm at 10. I can just block their biggest thing with Imperiosaur. Block a couple of smaller things with the Stompers. I don't really mind to lose those at this point. Hopefully Augur of Autumn can give me some good stuff off the top of the deck. But so far, I've not even been able to touch them. So, yeah, I'm only going to be able to block 4. So they're coming in with, yeah, enough to kill me. That's lethal. I'll give them a good game. They've clearly got something they can play. Yeah, okay. Yep. So, we'll see exactly how everything plays out, but block this incoming 7. Block this incoming 6. And I'm still taking a whole bunch of damage. Yep. They could have won last turn, but they gave me a little time to get my dino into play. So, green, still not great because, you know, it's not like werewolves is a top archetype or anything. Alright, so Imperiosaur is out of the deck. I just wasn't getting much value for it by the time that it would become playable. Most of these games, I've just been out aggroed, and aggro is the point of mono green. Honestly, Tameo safekeeping is probably going to be the next cut that's made. I'm going to mulligan out of this. That's a little better. We'll put a forest back. Just because, like, the early game creatures aren't worth protecting, and then by the time I have big creatures in play, let's get a tribute in here. I don't have the mana to keep them safe because I've used the mana to play them. So it's been a struggle so far. There's just not a whole lot of synergy between green cards. In this build, at least, somebody else may be able to crack it. Go ahead and get Tribute into play. We'll go ahead and say go. The LSL core is problematic. It's kind of built to not like green. And I don't have a form of removal in this deck. Like, this might end up just having to be a green fight deck if it's going to survive in standard. So I'll take the 3. Or the 2, rather. We'll get Augur into play. I probably should have waited to play that forest. I don't think it matters too much at this point. But, okay, yeah. But at least my stuff's coming in pumped. From there, we'll exile Seed of Hope. It's not coming back for anything. Neither is Gaia, but who knows. So even Loam Speaker's coming in pumped. That's pretty nice. They're gaining a life every turn off of Skrelv's Hive. They're also going to be drawing a card off of all of them. So let's see here. We got 4, 5, 6 mana available. Let's get Defiler into play first. And they scoop. Nice. Yeah, that was actually a pretty solid setup. I kind of wish I would have gotten to cook a little more because let's go back to the battlefield here. Once Defiler would have been in play, I could cast everything for 1 less mana for paying life. So Galagreeters would have been able to come into play for 1 off of Llanowar Loam Speaker, and it would have come in boosted off of tributes. Defiler would have given everything a +1/+1 to pump up even more. Not a whole lot they could do on their turn. I probably would block the LSL core just to get it off the playing field. I'd sacrifice a pumped up creature. I don't care because I know that Polukranos is on the top of the deck. So in that case, like I was able to out creature them, and thanks to tribute, everything comes in pumped. Everything comes in worth more than its mana costed value, which is why I'm thinking this card is gonna be the key to like actually cracking mono green. Just so you're getting more value out of cards and then choosing cards that have more value to themselves already. Like Polukranos. Like if you're running it in mono green, there's no risk of not being able to play it on turn 3. If you have it in hand, it can hit the field. Okay, so Tamiyo Safekeeping is out of the deck. Dropped all 4 copies. I wasn't getting it when I needed it, and even when I had it, it wasn't enough. There's just so much removal that even stopping some of them, it's better to just let it go through. I'd rather devote the deck more to just getting creatures onto the field, filling up the board, get myself in a little more advantageous position because so far, all Marine is doing is playing on the back foot. It's getting out aggroed. Just other players are setting up board states much faster. It's looking like we may be in a mirror match here. It's going to be very embarrassing if someone just has a better build of mono green already, just like off the cuff. Yeah, it looks like they're running pretty much the same thing. But they're going to have mana jump on me, which is not great. I'll take the 1 damage. That was a smart move by them. Go ahead and get Tribute into play. I think long term that's going to be better for me. Build up some mana. Reap the benefits of just playing multiple creatures per turn. But there are they drop it right now. They're gearing to drop something big, I reckon. I wonder what it is. What are they pondering over there? They're counting their mana. They know they have enough. Roaring Earth. Interesting. Huh. Not the card I was expecting. So let's do Gwenna. Let Gwenna come in. We'll take the treasure token. So, when a land enters the battlefield under your control, they get a counter on one target per vehicle. Man, that is... Huh. Then they're getting the monk into play to get the Gallagher ability triggered. That's a pretty smart play. Like, they still have... Oh, yeah. That's what they were counting last time. Is for the Titan. And they're going to destroy my tribute. Yep. Damn. So, I wasted turn 3 to get that into play because I was not expecting Titan of Industry. And they're just going to run over me now. Huh. And then I messed up again. I should have tapped the Gwenna for those two. It would have untapped. Let's get another Gallagher's into play. And gain 2 life. I'm going to need it. Get the Llanowar into play. So I'm not in too bad of a spot. I'm still on back foot from that Titan of Industry, but I feel like recovering from having my enchantment taken went pretty well. They keep playing cards I'm not expecting. So they're going to be able to match my Defiler once they begin combat. But they put it on the Rhino instead, and everything has vigilance now. But they don't have a reason to attack, really. I'm going to be smart this time. And tap my mana in the correct manner. So we out-greened another green. Not in the way I would have liked to, but we did it. We won a game against a very jank scrub deck that somebody had also probably just built for fun. Let's do one more. Let's see what we can squeak out with this deck. With Imperiosaur out, it's not nearly as exciting because the deck's basically just doing what it was doing already before March of the Machine, just with, an extra 1-drop to start the game with. Because I feel like a lot of time, even Seed of Hope's just going to be like Bushwhack was, where it's like, it's turn 1, I might as well play it to, get a forest in my hand or whatever. This time I did not take the forest. I took the Polukranos because I think we're going to need it against Mono Red. Let's get Loam Speaker into play, knowing that it's just going to get hit with a lightning bolt. Not quite yet. Very surprised. Yeah, might as well. They're going to hit me with Play with Fire. No, Goldhound. Interesting. It is turn 3. Polukranos time. Nah, I'm not going to swing. That would be stupid. Because they would have to pull off multiple burn spells to deal with the Polukranos. I know that from running Mono Red enough myself that that's going to be a hard Man, they're just playing every creature in the deck. And then they end their turn to put the Ronin back in. Okay. Uh-huh. Let's go ahead and get Defiler into play just to make them, think twice again against attacking. I'm not familiar with Saw Blade Scamp. Okay, it's one of the oil ones. They got lots of creatures. They are full on to Red Weenie over there. Even so, yeah, they just played like every one drop that the color red has to offer and got out of town. So in this case, like playing big creatures early actually worked out because mono red can't deal with big creatures once they're in play. Like I said, you have to, play multiple burn out of your hand just to deal 5 damage to a Polukranos. So it's not looking like mono green's back, not at least with the cards I have tested today. If you have any ideas for what could boost this deck up a little more, make it more than just a really bad for fun deck, then let me know. Chuck them in the comments if you're one of the 10 people that might end up watching this video. Bye!